One thing I would love us to understand today is that because your pulse oximeter or your oxygen machine is giving you like normal oxygen range, like your oxygen saturation is showing you like 89, 99, 100%, doesn't mean your body is receiving enough oxygen. Are you confused? Let me now, explain. I know most of us are aware that this oxygen saturation is measured with our pulse oximeter, that's our oxygen machine. Now, the typical range is about 95 to like 100%. This pulse oximeter is only used to measure percentage of hemoglobin carrying oxygen and not the total amount of oxygen available in our body tissues. Are you still confused? Let me explain in simpler terms. Now, I want us to think of oxygen in the blood like water in a bottle. Now, imagine as a normal human being, we are meant to have like 100 bottles in our body that carries water to several parts of our body for us to have a normal oxygen saturation. Now, imagine when you check your SPO2 with your oxygen machine, that is reading like 95%, 98%, or 100%. It tells you how full those bottles are. Now, the important part is that when you check your SPO2 with your pulse oximeter, it does not tell you how many bottles are available. It only tells you how full those bottles are. You can see scenarios like this in severe anemia and carbon monoxide poisoning. In severe anemia, whereby a patient's SPO2 is showing like 98%, 100%, whereby a patient with this diagnosis usually have fewer hemoglobin or even fewer red blood cells. And we know that hemoglobin and red blood cells are oxygen carrying fluid. They help carry oxygen to several parts of our body. Then how possible is the oxygen saturation showing 100 or even 95%? It's telling you that this pulse oximeter only tells you how full those bottles are. It does not tell you how many bottles are available. Now imagine this severe anemia, they're meant to have like 40 bottles instead of the normal 100 bottles. If you check the person SPO2 and it's reading like 98% or 100%, it only tells you those 40 bottles are mostly full, almost full. It does not tell you that if they are less than 100 or if they are 40 or if there are 90 bottles in the body. For carbon monoxide poisoning, a patient can still be having normal oxygen saturation like 98 or 100%, but still be in serious danger because this carbon monoxide binds more strongly to the hemoglobin in the blood than oxygen does. It's not that the bottles are not filled with the example I gave before, but it can be filled with the wrong substances. Instead of water, it can be filled with juice, it can be filled with beer. So instead of oxygen, it can be filled with what? Carbon monoxide. So it's not that the bottles are not filled, but it's filled with what? Wrong substances. And the problem here is that this pulse oximeter cannot differentiate between what? Carbon monoxide and oxygen. That's why you can see a patient that will be having dizziness, loss of consciousness, headache, and still be having a normal SPO2. In suspected cases like this, doctors rely on more accurate tests like AGB. This AGB stands for arterial blood gas. It gives what accurate and assess accurate amount of oxygen saturation in a human body. It can measure for what? One, partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood. Two, arterial oxygen saturation. Three, pH, that's what acid base what status. Now four, partial arterial carbon dioxide in arterial blood. Now tests like co-oximetry and capnography can also be used to assess for what oxygen saturation for a patient, but the best recommended is AGB, which is what arterial blood gas. Is mostly recommended by doctors to check for what accurate oxygen saturation of a patient when suspected case like what severe anemia or what carbon monoxide poisoning is what suspected. Now for this pulse oximeter is a non-invasive what procedure, unlike what AGB. AGB is a what invasive procedure because you take blood from your arterial vessel and the arterial vessel contain oxygenated blood. You see it. So till next time, follow odinakasumary for simple educative health education. Till we meet again. Tudu.